Evening, everyone. Welcome to Horror and Hooch. Nice to see everybody again.
Hola.
And I'm sure you know why we're here tonight. You got me, Kay Bly, Jay Astral over here, and Desiree of Temper Drinks. And it's time to discuss
Yes, so
It Chapter 2. We have been waiting on this. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this tonight. There was a lot of hidden gems in it, a lot of, changes in the movie, some, you know, character evolution. But let's get into our drink ingredients real quick.
oh
All
yeah.
right, then. Tonight's drink is a twist on a classic margarita. It is called in honor of the movie We All Float. You're gonna need a silver tequila. Tonight I've got DOA, just a simple silver tequila. I think this bottle was actually given to me. Um, you need some simple syrup, and you will also need fresh lime juice and a red sweet wine of your choice. I am using a Roscato tonight because I just like Roscato, but whatever red wine you prefer, and that's all you need.
I think I used the cupcake because it's a sweet.
Real sweet, yeah. Yeah, you need the
Yeah,
sweet to take
cupcakes
out
is very sweet.
the bitter. So,
So, It Chapter 2. We have decided to discuss our favorite characters, even though I know there's a whole big cast of the Losers Club, but different characters stuck out and resonated with each one of us. I kind of you know, favored Bill in the movie. Jade Astral, she really liked
Yeah.
Mike and Desiree.
Mikey.
Richie and Ben. I did like
hey,
Ben's
turn
glow
up.
up. Ben did have a nice glow up. And we are also going to discuss our favorite scenes in the movie. There were some really crazy, creepy scenes in the movie, starting with the beginning. Like, I didn't know where the beginning of the movie was going. And,
Nah,
it didn't end well for those guys. There was
Ooh,
no
it sure
justice
did.
there. I thought they would get a little justice, but no, it was just all bad. So, yeah, we're going to discuss. Oh, and we're also going to talk about different aspects from the new version that maybe was changed in the differences, what they did different in the new one, parts that they left out, things that they kept the same. So we're going to get in all that tonight. But first, let's get this drink because I want to sip in.
Please.
all right.
Thirsty.
All right. So for the drink, I'm gonna start with my shaker tonight with a little bit of ice, Oh, that sounds like a whole lot of ice. My bad. All right. And we've got an ounce and a half of your silver tequila. We have, Lord have mercy, half an ounce of your simple syrup, y'all. Stay with me. I'm sorry. You also need an ounce of your lime juice, and that's fresh lime juice that I'm using because that makes the best margarita. And for those ingredients, you're gonna shake them over your ice. As always, we shake till it's cold on your shaker. And I'm using this cute little coupe tonight because this drink has a little bit of an effect to it. I want you guys to be able to see. So I'm going to strain out that margarita into the glass, and that's just your simple, everyday margarita we got. But what makes this drink special is that red wine. So what I'm doing with the red wine is I'm going to float it tonight. I'm using a bar spoon, the back of my bar spoon, so that it eases into the drink. But it's about a half an ounce of red wine, and you just want to trickle that into your margarita. Oh, they don't want to act right for me tonight, y'all. It usually gives me a really pretty float on top, but we ain't float the way it's
It
supposed
sounds
to. Right. And then normally a margarita, you're going to garnish it with your lime. But this one, I garnished with my red balloon tonight in honor of the clown. So
I ate mine.
she said she ate hers. But yes, the We All Floats margarita.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand y'all and get to see my pretty float. I did it earlier on my dry run. It looks really good. I'm a little devastated.
All right, let's get into our favorite characters. I think a good way to start would be to discuss Mike, who Jade Astro picked as her favorite character, because he is the one really that kicked off the Losers
Oh
Club
yeah,
getting back together.
superhero.
Yeah.
Okay, so with Mikey, I feel as though that he was like the underdog.
Yeah.
We really, can I put it? He was the one that stayed home and held it down, straight up. You know, he didn't forget. He didn't hide anything from the past. He just remembered it all and just kept it together. Even though he was confined in his little space up there in the attic, that was his own choice. But I believe what was going on with Mikey at the time is that he kind of blamed himself for the death of his parents. And as well as he was, you know, isolating himself from the community. But at the same time, when he was dealing with his own demons, he was trying to make sure that they were going to conquer and beat Pennywise. So he made sure to do his research. Like I
Hmm.
said, with the other losers, they completely forgot. It took for Mikey to contact them and to remind them and give them bits by bits. And I just feel as though he kind of gets overlooked because we're looking at everybody else and their issues on what they have going on. But at the end of the day, he was the anchor. He was the one that had all the material, the resources, and he motivated the team to get back together. So that's really why I like Mikey.
He did. I wonder why. How did everybody forget? You know?
Well, they said it was dairy, like something about dairy that when you leave, that demon is making you forget those events. But he never left, so of course everything's crystal clear for him.
Mm.
True. Also, I think, well, not just the place, period, but the fact of them just being so traumatized from what happened that they pushed that to the back of their head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a combination of the both, so they completely forgot. Like, it was times that you can tell in the movie they were looking at Mikey like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Like, let's leave. This man is crazy. And I felt bad for him at first. Like, man, you done held it down and you just trying to get them to realize that we need to come together as a team. And they thinking you crazy. Bro, you ain't crazy.
But they came though. They came.
They knew it
Because,
was
and then the
That's what I'm like that. I guess it was just something in them remembered, you know,
the
because it's like
scar, remember? He would
yeah.
bring each one of them back to the scar
yeah,
because, you know, whenever he could tell they wasn't remembering, he was like, have you ever wondered where you got the scar in your hand from?
yeah,
And I
Yeah.
mean, you Eddie that remembered immediately because he was done. He was like, nah, we ain't going back. So he had to know something.
Him and Richie, because Richie automatically threw up.
yes, he did.
He
He
was just
did.
like,
He might not have remembered everything just then, but he remembered enough to get sick to his stomach.
Right.
my question, like with Mikey's story, because I don't know if you noticed that everybody else on the team of losers had to go back into like their trauma to find their token or whatever. What was Mikey's like token? Was it the gun that he killed the livestock with? Or ain't it?
Where did he
Like for
kill him?
example, huh?
I'm trying to think. What did he throw into the artifact?
That's why I'm asking. I can't remember. Like everybody else had
Was it
something,
the
but
newspaper article about his parents?
Yes. No.
there we go.
That was on
No,
the
wait.
was Because that was on the table at the very end with the real story. I don't know if
Yeah,
y'all noticed that, but the
yeah,
story on the paper changed.
yeah. I remember the story changed.
So do you think that, okay, not trying to bounce off of what we're just trying to figure out with Mikey, but do you think Pennywise just used his fear of him believing he's the reason why his parents died to torment him when it really wasn't?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I wonder what was his, do you think his own sacrifice could have been it? Like him,
That too,
you
because I'm
just,
like, he really did. Uh, he sacrificed himself a lot by staying there, by going to visit those that group of people to learn
the
about,
tribe.
yeah, to learn about what was going on. He stole that item from the people.
I mean, he wasn't scared that them ancestors gonna come get him.
Yeah, survival. Survival
And
make
he,
you do
And
some crazy.
then y'all, he gave what you call it? What's his name? Bill. He gave
mhm.
Bill ayahuasca.
Bill
Without
was
That's
telling
why he was tripping. Like, whoa, what did you put in this water?
Bill said, Bill said, "Did you put something in my drink?"
He got, and then he was like, I saw it. I seen it all.
But
he
Mike,
did sound like a madman.
he did. I mean, I guess that's the only way he thought to get through to him. Because I mean, like, think if you were just living your regular life and then Mike comes around talking all this crazy stuff, you kind of had to
He
be
had to
in that
get him
space
high.
to understand him. Yes, and that Bill, I kind of connected with Bill as a writer, being that everybody wanted him to change the way that he was ending his stories, because he's like, a lot of times there is no happy ending. And that's why when they tried to do his books to movies, they wanted him to rewrite it. And he couldn't at that point, because at that point he didn't have any happy endings. So he was
Yeah.
only writing from his experience, and that's why at the end of the movie he was able to connect with something that, okay, this at the end had a good outcome. I can write from that perspective. But if he's like, everything doesn't always end well, that's going to reflect in his writing. And I don't write a lot of stories that end well. Because I'm like, so, some things have a little more story to tell. Some things are suspenseful. Some things want to give you a little mystery. And sometimes they don't always end on a positive note. So I understood that. And I really liked the scene when, sorry, spoiler alert, everybody, spoiler alert, when
They
Bill
do
went
that.
into
Oh,
yeah,
I ain't even bring out the scene. Go ahead.
when Bill walked into the antique shop, and guess who was in the antique shop?
Yes,
Francine
Steven!
with the cameo.
He broke us off
What?
with that smooth cameo in the movie. I was like, really like fanning out at that point. I was
Man, my
excited.
husband looked at me so crazy because I was screaming.
I
In the
was,
theater.
and I was in the theater because I went to see it by myself. So I'm like, I didn't even have anybody to talk to. I was excited on my own. I'm like, feel like I'm in there talking to myself, like, oh, Stephen King did Stan Lee. He did a Stan Lee.
That's exactly what I
Man,
said. Oh, he pulling a Stan Lee.
and then like the whole time I was looking at him, I kept saying, "Oh, he looked good for his age. He looked good."
Girl, don't be lying to him. That man is scary looking.
He is. He always
No, but
looked
he's
good.
always had that kind of look to him,
He
but he does
did.
look good for his age, for real.
Yes,
Like I was so happy to see him. Like
me
true
too.
fan.
Thank you,
Oh,
Bill.
you talking about scenes?
Oh,
You
it brings
bringing up
around.
Stephen King. I forgot to mention that part with Mikey. Like when Mikey finally was able to leave Derry. That's
Mm-hmm.
something a little snippet about Stephen King. Like he is from Maine,
Uh-huh.
and he once he was able to get himself established, like really face his monsters, because I believe that's what each of his stories are about, is like his own personal battles. Not every single one of them, but most of his stories.
Yeah.
And at the end, Mikey left to go to Florida, and that's the exact same thing Stephen King did. He moved to Florida for a while. Like he has a
See,
couple of homes here.
I always thought Stephen King wrote himself in the books as Bill. But then when she broke it down, it was like, no, it's Mike. And I really thought about it. I was like, you know what? You're right.
Because he was captive, he was
Mhm.
stuck in Derry.
Yep.
He couldn't get rid of the monsters. He had to remember the monsters. You know what I'm saying? So I really feel as though that was Stephen King putting himself within the story.
Yeah, I didn't think I had to sit and think about that. And I was like, you're right. But Bill Hader, he did his thing in the movie. He gave us that um comic relief that we needed, especially a movie that was so intense with the horrific scenes and the creep factor. We needed him. We needed Richie.
That was my favorite. Well, pause. That was one of my favorites. Y'all, I couldn't narrow it down. So
It's hard.
Risky and was one of my favorites. And that was like she said, because he was the comic relief, because he was the comedy, he was the only one who almost until the very end was like, this is bullshit. And like I can see that being me. Like the whole way through, like I'm here with y'all, but this is bullshit. But he also was the most evolved character to me because he had a realization and epiphany. Like I feel like he was living a lie all
Yeah.
that before they went back to Derry, and it took the death of his friend of his love to be like, oh my God. Like at the end, him crying was kind of like a release for him, and I feel like he was the most evolved character in the whole movie. And then my other favorite was Ben because Po Ben got the best glow up in the world.
Did he not?
I ain't gonna lie. I need to know who is that actor. Like who is playing Ben?
Like Ben came up, okay?
And he got the bread too to go with it. That's my type.
He was so high up, he didn't even have to show up at work. He was the boss, and it was like, I'm a video changer.
You hear me?
And then was like, but he was also probably the most genuine character to me, because he kept his innocence, I think, throughout life. Even when he was having his meeting, when they were talking about numbers and everything and how we making money, he was like, no, that's not what I want that to be. I want it to be a clubhouse. Like he still kept that innocence from his childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why those two were my favorites.
And he did what he set out to do. Even from when he was young, he was in the architecture,
Right.
Into the buildings because he would talk about the sewer and stuff. So we were talking about scenes earlier. One of my favorite scenes, because I feel as though it had a lot of Easter eggs in it, was the scene with Beverly when she went back to her old home. In the scene, if you notice with the old lady, they show a quick niblet of a picture of the circus when it first came to Derry, and it showed Pennywise in a human form, and it showed a little girl. And the old lady said it. She was like, that's my father. So to me, it feels as though whoever that ringleader is for that circus during that time, he must have caused terror in the area because the people of Derry were scared of Pennywise. Like, that's the reason why he kept showing up as a clown. And he kept showing up, in that manner because the people in the area were scared of the clown. So in my theory, in my mind, I'm assuming that they're trying to let us know that Pennywise was in the past a real person. It's just that it fed off the fear that he put in the area.
I ain't never.
Did y'all see that?
Because that's what I was thinking. It's like it's a lot there between him being a human and whatever that thing is that's up under Derry.
Because they gave you an explanation. They told you that the only, it fed off your fears. So you saw how it was flipping, like how with Richie in the old movie it was a werewolf or whatever. How with Stan it was a zombie. How he saw the cricket woman face on the painting. Like it kept flipping in different forms, but at the end of the day, like really the majority of the time he was a clown. So that's why my like gears in my mind is just running like, how is that clown just the dominant, image that it was showing?
I asked that same question at the end because the origin story, like it explained it, but not really. Like it's still really vague, like the dead lights and where he came from. You the eater of universes, or what did he say? Eater of planets or something like that. And I'm
He
like,
say
yeah.
eater of light or something like that? Eater of something, he said.
But I'm like, where you came from? Like
Yeah.
it was so vague. Like he came from somewhere else, but where and why?
Yeah, that's something like I don't know how that thing got up under dairy, but however that happened.
And they also like, this is bouncing into when we're gonna look at the differences. With the original they show like a spider like alienoid type
Mhm.
thing
Mhm.
compared to with the new version, the modern version, they just show the deadlights. Which I will say this, I appreciate the fact that they kind of dug into the light situation, because I never understood that in the old version. Like, what is up with these bright lights? I know that's how he hypnotizes them, but what is the purpose of the bright lights? So,
Yeah, but then like, they also had Pennywise grow like the spider legs instead of it being
Yeah.
like
yeah, he did have the
and then a
spider
whole
legs. He
different
did.
spider creature. He kind of like was like both in one.
Yeah.
True. Um, with the cast, one thing that was completely different that we did not mention with Stan is the fact that he gave an explanation in the 2019 version of why he killed himself, compared to the older version, he just killed himself to escape. You
Yeah.
know, they use his death this time, or his sacrifice of himself,
Mhm.
to have an actual purpose than him not just being a coward.
They
I
did. I did like that.
yeah, I
And that's
appreciate
why I
that.
said I feel like he remembered as well, because to be in the right mind to write those letters to
Yeah.
say, no, y'all did it. Y'all were successful if y'all are reading this because I made my sacrifice because I knew I wasn't going to be man enough to do it with y'all. Like, he had to know.
He
Yeah.
remembered.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of scenes, me and Desiree have the same favorite scene. One of them. Y'all,
So,
this scene.
as much as I hate clowns, and I think that's why this is my favorite scene, because I was sitting in the chair like this, like the whole time, just like trying to
Heart was like
sink into the chair.
blood
But
pressure going up.
the scene where Bill is trying to rescue the little boy from the neighborhood, and he goes into the mirror, and there's him in one spot, there's a boy between the other two glass, and then there's Pennywise on the last side of the glass. And Pennywise starts ramming his hand into this glass, trying to bust the glass with his face. And it's just, he's smiling and he's slamming into this glass, and it's just terrifying. And Bill is hollering, and the little boy is hollering, and I'm just sitting in my chair like, oh my gosh. And then when he gets through, the one thing I really did like about this version versus the first version is how he devoured the people. Like the imagery for how his head changed from this simple ass clown to this weird demon monster was like, oh my god, he
Yeah,
really is crazy.
they did not hold back on the creep factor. Like they really gave it to us.
That
Um,
was interesting, just for cinematic value.
oh yeah. I think what really popped it off and like gave us that feeling of, excitement, the adrenaline running, is the actor that played it. He explained that he really put himself into character. They would not allow the cast to see him on set. They will only see him in the midst of the shooting. Another thing too is he can actually take his eyeball and do
Yeah,
that. Like
boom,
one
saw
go
that.
one way and one go the other way. He is controlling that. And
Really?
yes, he can do that, girl. That's him.
I saw a clip of him doing that.
Wow.
And so he said it. He was like, he really put himself in the character of Pennywise to the point that he was having nightmares himself. Like he had to basically, after shooting it, chapter 2, he purged himself of the character Pennywise. Because he was like, I gotta get out of this. I can't let this stay on me, because he said it was creepy. Because his mind would slip off into dark spaces, so he would be able to think of how he could scare the actors. So it freaked him out. He had to like purge.
And that's when you know that's some good acting right there, when you connected to your character so much. I mean, I know this is like different genres, but Michael B. Jordan's character in Black Panther, they treated him the same way. They did during the shooting of the whole film. He didn't interact with everybody else. Because think about it, his character wasn't from Wakanda. So they kept him separate, and everybody else is bonding, and he only comes in during his scenes. And he's the angry person. He's the like murderous person. So like literally after shooting Black Panther, he actually had to go to therapy to get back to normal, because he was still angry after the movie.
Right.
He was still angry. He was still feeling that solitude, and he really had to come out of that. And that's some good acting right there. When actors
When
really
they
go
put
into the
themselves
role.
into the character. So I don't know. Like I was freaking excited that they did chapter 2 justice. Like seriously, at the end of the movie, we stood up and clapped, even though it was 3 hours long.
It was. I had to go to the bathroom during the scenes. Sitting there sipping that giant Sprite. I had to run to the bathroom real quick.
Always with your little fizz.
Okay, just a little fizz.
Y'all know.
Oh.
But they really, I think they really did take their time with this movie, and I really liked at the beginning the reunion dinner scene, even though everybody hadn't seen each other in years, but they still came together, and it wasn't like awkward. They were having fun. They were eating and laughing and talking, and they started to feel like that bond with each other again. So I really liked that they all came to, they showed up.
Yeah.
I like how they kept it close to the original. Like how the everything went down just like how the old one. Like they came in, they sat down and ate with each other, and even the monster came out, so they all got a chance to see it again together as one, as a group.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't deny it because everybody saw it.
Yeah.
Right. So it couldn't be like, oh, I saw this. What did you guys see? It's like when it hit, everybody seen something to get everybody on board with that whole fear factor again. Because
but then y'all got mad. I was upset that y'all walked out that restaurant and got mad at Mike like y'all didn't just go through that. Don't be hollering.
That was denial. That was denial because they was so scared that they didn't want to admit that they was punking out. So they used denial to try to escape.
Can we talk a minute about old boy that was in the mental institution who waited his whole life for them to come back to Derry?
Oh my gosh, he was so happy when he seen that damn balloon.
He was an for this moment.
He played that part. He really played that part. Now okay. This is for the true Stephen King fans. Did y'all pick up the little Easter egg of the zombie friend that was giving him like the ride and giving him the weapons? Can you tell me what movie that Stephen King and what book that he had that reminds you of?
Girl, wait a minute.
Think about it. Look at how he was dressed up like the 50s type theme. About 5 more seconds. Okay, the movie They Come Back.
Oh, I wouldn't even thought about that. You right.
Yes.
I wasn't even thinking about that at the time. But yes, that's why.
Girl, you know I love Stephen King.
Yes, it has so many other little elements and stuff in the movie. That's why I was really appreciating this. Although I wish that they would have had that scene in where Bill's wife had saw something, and remember she went into shock, and then at the very very end of the movie he had to kind of get her back well again. Like she could not handle
What she
any
saw.
aspect of it. Yeah, she couldn't handle it. Like they could, they were seeing stuff and he was popping up all the time with them, but like she seen one little thing and like her mind, instant, her mind was gone. And like, can you think
But I
about
kind
that?
of like how they flipped it. Okay, so like for an example, they didn't show that scene, but they showed how Mike was the one to be able to fight it and leave, and also they added in where Eddie died. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if y'all noticed, but when Eddie got into the whole situation, yeah, he was acting big and bad. But when he got down there in that sewer, he was the one that was showing the most fear. Seriously. And I think that's why he ended up dying, because he had a little bit of doubt. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, Eddie, man.
And
He didn't even know he had a secret lover.
he didn't.
Right. Let me tell you, when the clown was taunting Richie, I was like, "What the secret? What
Me
secret?"
too.
I already knew he was gay.
I was like, "What is the secret?"
But we already knew he was gay, so my mind was like, okay, so it's somebody in the clique. Either he done been with and they ain't said nothing, or he got a crush on. My mind already went there because I already knew.
I was lost.
I was too. I was like, are they going to tell us at some point when? What?
Oh, they did when he did that R+E.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, they focused on him at Stanley's bar mitzvah. So I'm like, what kind of secret came out of that? Like, what is going on? I was so lost. I wasn't expecting that for it to be him in love with Eddie until Eddie died and he started crying. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then at the end, when they showed the R and the E, I was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, like with the bar mitzvah, what I got from that is he learned a lesson. Stan really stood up there and told him what the heck it was at his bar mitzvah. And like, I feel as though that gave Richie some type of inspiration to, one day be himself, even though he held it in until he was a grown behind man.
Right.
But here's my question. Did they show the fact that he had a partner in the beginning like they did off the old movie? Because in the old movie, they show that he's gay and he has a partner.
No, because they showed him on stage at the very beginning. They didn't show him with anybody.
Okay. So that was a difference too then, because in the original, he has a partner.
Yeah, and remember in his joke, he was talking about having a girlfriend. So they didn't really show that.
Yeah. So I guess that ending was supposed to be like a surprise or whatever. But then another thing about that, when they showed his memory, what got me with that movie is you had the Bowers boys and how they bullied him and was like, get out of here, faggot, and everything. And that scene was kind of like an echo from the opening credits where those boys were bullied.
Yep.
Mm.
They went. Okay, but here's the thing though. Did y'all feel that the fact that the cousin was a little interested though?
He was.
Like,
that's why he reacted.
That's why he reacted that way, but that's crazy. Do you think that those are the descendants of those boys that killed
That's what I got.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they that I don't know, scum of the town type. Y'all the troublemakers, and that's how the Bowers were. They were the troublemakers, outskirt hillbilly type family.
They ain't had to do that dude like that though, for real.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was gonna be some kind of justice. I thought Pennywise was gonna come out and get the crazy guys out here and their hate crime. Like they wouldn't even like if you really got to hate somebody to follow them, they leave it and you follow them out. Like mind your business. But they don't.
Yeah, bro. I did not see them finna drop Buddy off the bridge. Like that was too much for me. I was like, wait, no.
What? Okay.
And it still wasn't no happy ending. He got dropped off the bridge and eaten. like, did not
And then
do
he
well.
showed up later, like, what up, bro?
Did y'all notice that the hat that he had that was thrown in the water was the same hat that a little boy was wearing before the little boy that Bill was chasing from the neighborhood into the house?
And some chick, too.
Yeah, they had on the same hat. Okay, now here go another question. And this is me just going off my freaking rocker. I don't even believe it, but it's just me thinking about it. Do you think that the little boy could have been a representation of Bill? Like he could have been already dead and was just tormenting Bill?
Nah, because in the beginning, he came for Rich. Well, he didn't come for Richie. He was Richie's biggest fan.
Yes,
Oh
And
yeah, he did have his parents. He had his parents.
yeah,
but he was
and
hard headed.
everybody saw him.
Yeah, he had his parents. Dang.
And he said he heard the voices in the drain. That's why Bill got so connected to him.
But
I
see,
think that the one that had the hat
on.
on was then he probably could have been somebody that was already dead and that was coercing a little boy because he had on the hat.
That little boy was
I,
hard headed.
I
All
don't
he
know
had to
what
do was
them
listen to Bill.
and get out of town, go convince your parents.
And he still run. Even when they got to the carnival, he still like, stop following me. Okay. And and look what happened, being ungrateful. He got a warning and still did the wrong thing.
Yep.
Girl.
I want to give a rundown of how each person is considered a loser. And
Oh.
I start off with Mike. First off, he's black. Okay, black male in the community. Then you have Ben, poor little Ben. He was the fat one. You have Stan, he was Jewish. Bev, she was abused. I honestly believe her daddy molested her.
Oh yeah,
Um,
most definitely.
oh yeah, he raped her. Bill, he was the one that had a speech impediment.
Right.
Then you have Richie, who was gay, and he covered that up with being funny, trying to be a comedian. And then I also think that's a play on words because, old folks, we say gay people, we'll say, oh, he funny, or
Yeah.
they funny. You know what I'm saying? And then Eddie, he was a hypochondriac,
Yes. With the
mama's boy.
the overbearing mom.
He was the risk assessor.
But he was slick with it though.
Yeah, I think that's my breakdown or my perspective on how they're considered the loser.
I do like that they went back and let us see that at one point in time, even though we thought that they were such close friends, that they did have a falling out point.
Right.
And when they fell out, they were still seeing signs of it, even when they weren't speaking to each other.
And what was crazy, like it sent for them. Like when he got the boy out the river, he put "come home" on the bridge, and he didn't even know what that was. And then when they got to the house, he was like home at last, and I'm like, dang, why you sent for this group? Because they was the ones they got.
I think the reason why he sent for them was to be like, you thought you killed me, but look, I'm still here. And that would have created more fear because you assumed that you ended it.
Yeah.
So he could have fed off of all that fear, like, oh my gosh, we thought we killed it, and he is actually still alive.
Yeah. He did, and alive and back. Y'all, that poor little girl whose parents wasn't watching her at the game. I felt so bad for her.
And he played off of the fact she had that birthmark.
He did.
Your mama said, sit down and shut up and watch this game. You got your ass up and went up under the bleachers. That what happened when y'all kids don't listen.
Yeah, she did.
But you know what? Why the mama didn't tell her to sit her little booty down? Like, come on now, just come. Where you going? My mama would have snatched me and pinched the mess out of me.
True.
Like, I couldn't have got up, and then if I got to go to the bathroom, you going to go when I go.
Right.
As soon as you out of eyesight, you already in the wrong.
But I thought she was going the way because she was smart at first. She was like, nah, bro, I can't even see you. You in the dark. You ain't my friend. I was like, yes, girl, walk away.
But when he brought up the fact that people pick on me, I was like, no, why are you playing on that? No,
I hated his voice the whole movie though. I hated that man's voice.
He did it on purpose. Like that
And
little.
yes. And I love how he does that, like that really weird, awkward blank stare. I love when he does that. It's just so creepy. It's like he's looking at you, but not even like at you at all. It's just like he just snaps and pauses, and then he comes for the attack. Like that blank stare is just
So
crazy.
that made me laugh when the lady was in the house and she was doing that shit. It was hilarious to me. Like she was mid conversation. She was like, you know what they say about the people in Derry?
Yeah, and then she
Yeah,
just sat there.
They die.
They never
And she
die.
just staring into space. And I was like, oh no, I would have been got up.
It's like they just spaced out mid conversation, and then you like, what? What is
Oh, so we talking about the actor of It. They're coming out with another Castle Rock, ladies.
What?
You heard me. Castle Rock.
Huh. I also saw a preview for a sequel to The Shining when I went to see it. So apparently it's a
Yes,
part
I
two.
did.
Doctor
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah, Doctor Sleep. And it showed like how he was having the dreams and like I want to see that. I wonder how they're gonna play it off. Do you think they'll play it as like someone that wanted to come into the hotel, like the real hotel, and sleep or something, and
Now it looked like he's the boy
like
from
ducks?
the and this is him grown.
Okay, girl, I was so happy to see it. I saw that they had the sequel for Shining, but I didn't pay attention to it all the way on what they were explaining. Yeah, never mind because the little girl was telling him like you had the gift like me.
Yeah, that was it.
I need to look that up. I don't remember seeing that preview.
Isn't his name Duck though? Didn't they call him Duck?
And I ain't pay that much attention.
I'm talking about on the original one.
Oh, I gotta go back and watch again. It's been years since I watched The Shining.
No, right?
I'll give it about 2 years. It ain't been too many, but it's been about 2 years because I went back because I wanted to see how did the ghost coerce the father? Like, where was his weak points? So that's when I went back to watch it.
Oh yeah, I gotta see the previews for that new one. Oh, side note, the actor that plays Pennywise, do y'all know his brother is Eric from True Blood?
I
What?
can see that. I can see that. They look alike. I can see that.
They both but hey, it's like they both have a cute, creepy look to them. You know?
Very
I don't know
frail.
how you can be the.
They're foreign. I ain't trying to be funny, but they're foreign and they're cute. So that's why we're all like, oh, you look so different. Because they don't look like our American man over here. He is actually like, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he from like Scotland or something? Like Ireland or something like that?
I don't know, but they look cute and creepy. Like how you look creepy and cute at the same time.
Oh, they do it with ease, baby.
But
They
they
do it with
pulling
ease.
it off.
I just say very easy. I know you seen Interview with the Vampire. Lestat. Hey.
When you be dead.
Okay. Y'all talking about vampires and you talking about how they're creepy and they're cute and all of that. I will say this, I bring it up. You're right, they are actually cute because the dude from Twilight, I can't stand looking at him no more. Because every time I see him, even in other movies, I think about glitter. Like he had on glitter.
He's gonna be Batman now, girl. You better shake it off.
No, he ain't. Let me take a sip.
That's what they said now.
Mm-hmm.
Batman.
Batman, girl. Ain't gonna be no glitter on that.
I don't know how I see him as Batman.
Nobody did. There was like an uproar when they made the announcement because everybody was like, no. But I mean, y'all can't cast that man. He needs
I
career.
don't know who I see as Batman. No, he wouldn't be Batman, but he can be the Riddler if they redid it. Pete, the one that dated Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
I can see.
I can see him as a Riddler.
Oh yeah, y'all gotta go see that new Joker movie too. that's coming out.
Oh
That
yes.
has some good ratings.
Like I know it's not horror, but can we at least like discuss that? Like we have to have a podcast about that.
I think it's gonna be like a psychological thriller almost.
Yeah, because it shows how he broke down. Because I've always had a love for the Joker. Because you can tell he just cracked. Something just cracked. Because how the heck is he still hilarious? Like whatever he says and does is funny. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
we
cricket.
might have to do a little something about villains.
That'll work.
Because
Okay. So since
some villains are quite scary.
we talking about villains, did y'all ever have a crush on a certain villain?
Yes, Eric
Ooh.
Killmonger from Black Panther.
No. First he's the Luke Cage.
Luke who? Luke
Bushmaster.
Cage?
You talking
No,
about
not the Bushmaster. The first season.
You talking about Cottonmouth?
Yes, Cottonmouth. But he had all the
Shut
swagger.
up, girl. We gonna fight. But no, that's not who I like though.
He had all the swagger.
Woo, Cottonmouth. Yes. My husband's still mad because whenever I listen to what's the rapper's name? Jadea?
Jadena?
Yeah.
Jadea, there you go. That song, Chief,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think about Cottonmouth because they play that.
They had a
Dang.
good soundtrack.
Okay, so I actually had a crush on Jack Nicholson and freaking Joker. Ever since he played that, isn't that Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah, the old version.
I know, yeah, the 1991-ish,
With
1990
the
version.
Prince stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a crush on him, and I think it's because how he broke it down in the parade. Like, he got me so hyped up, and as a kid, I didn't, even though I knew he was the villain, I was excited to see him come across the screen every time.
We had that on VHS.
Oh, so I would have burnt that tape out, girl. That VCR would have ate that tape.
Oh, that's how old I am. We had that on VHS.
I can't think of any other villain I really just love. But I'm always rooting for the villain. Like I always like the bad guy. But I don't know. They relatable.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you can see how they just turn. Like,
Sometimes.
how did y'all feel about Two-Face?
He got on my nerves though. Because you was just greedy.
Okay, thank you
I
for being
wasn't a
honest.
Harvey Dent fan, but he said one of my favorite quotes in life because I love The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Because
Ooh.
that's so true in a lot of instances. That when people,
Girl, let me write that down.
yes, one of my favorite quotes, that they can only do trying to do good for some. Okay, think about it.
That's what happened to the Joker.
Joker. It happened to Magneto.
The Goblin too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was straight. Goblin was straight for a little bit, but then something happened where he just blew.
Yep. I'm like, that's so true in a lot of instances. And even people, I don't know if you guys watch anime like me, but in Death Note, when Light in the beginning, when he got the Death Note, he was all about, I'm going to only write people's names in here that are criminals.
Girl, I love Death Note.
Exactly, but then remember he just started trying to cover his tracks and was killing everybody.
Yeah, he was trying to
backtrack. Exactly, you're not really a hero no more. You're just killing anybody in your way. So that's one of my favorites.
What was the guy's name on Batman with that where it was Riddler, Poison Ivy, and what was Arnold Schwarzenegger again?
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, yeah.
Okay, how do y'all feel about Mr. Freeze and how he became a villain? Because they used him, like they abused his intelligence.
Yes.
I mean, I think every villain has a sob story. Every villain starts out with a sob story.
True, true. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry, audience. I know we don't went off on a rant and we
Yeah,
talking about we went to a whole different genre, but at the same time, it is dealing with horror because that's something that can happen in everyday life. Like there can be a moment, it can be a part where you're just weak and you just freaking break and you become the villain for the day. So that's kind of scary.
Yes. Um, our next show will be in October. We are entering our favorite month out of the year. We are going
Yeah.
to be bringing you guys stuff all month long. So be follow and join Horror and Hooch on Facebook. Follow us at the Fifth Wall, Fifth Column, Tempered Drinks, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow us. We are going to be live and active the whole month. We are turning up
Entire month.
entire month, y'all. This is our time is coming, and we are going to kick off our next episode discussing the Masters of Horror because Fear Fest and what a Fright Fest and 31 Nights of Horror, all of that stuff is going to be starting October 1st, if not at the end of September. So we are going to cover all of these great horror writers and creators because we're going to be watching all their films all month long. So we are going to talk about them. Comment on our Horror and Hooch fan group. Tell us some of your favorite masters of horror and what movies you like to watch every year during Halloween. Like, what's the one movie you have to see? We're gonna do all that. We're gonna, Halloween Day. We're gonna be dressed up with just all kind of stuff on our page, taking polls, little video shots of Halloween decorations, all that good stuff. So, for all the Halloween fanatics, our time is coming.
Yes, it's already here.
Here's my countdown. We have 41 days until Halloween. So we will see you guys in October.
Bye.
awesome.